All right, baby, guess where I'm taking you today?
Let's go someplace warm, sunny and sandy.
Yeah, so you want to go to a nice white beach?
Oh, yes, I do. Powder white would be nice.
Well, I'm going to take you there. I'm also going to take you to one of the largest artificial reef systems in the country.
What? That exists here?
Yep, and we're going to take you also to where there's one of the most iconic beach bars in the U.S. Where are we taking everybody?
We're going to go to the Alabama beaches down in Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Put your seatbelts on.
Because here we go.
This is RV Destinations Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RV Destinations Podcast. I am Randy Beheimer. I'm here joined with my lovely wife, Caly Beheimer, and we are so excited to talk to you today, as we always are. Welcome, everybody on YouTube, and welcome, everybody that's listening on the audio podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, if you want to take your family to the beaches, we're going to have a doozy for you today. Isn't that right? A doozy. So where are we talking about today?
We're talking about the chunk in Alabama that is on the Gulf.
That's right.
It's like 32-ish miles.
Well, most people, I'm going to just address the elephant in the room.
There's an elephant
There
here.
is an elephant in the room in our RV right here. But so most everybody refer to it as the Gulf Shores, but they're, Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, and we're going to bring a guest on here in a minute that can maybe clarify this. Mm-hmm. But, everybody knows the Gulf Shores, but they're trying to rebrand it as Alabama beaches because it's growing up in so many different areas there that they want to know that there's more than just Gulf Shores there. So.
Exactly.
But anyway, why don't we get our guest on here so he can join in on the conversation?
Yeah. So on the line with us, we have Easton Colvin, and he is the Public Relations Manager at Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism. So hi, Easton. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, guys. How are y'all?
We're doing good. And we had the privilege and the honor of hanging out with you in person in the Gulf Shores and Orange Beach area, which was amazing. We were just there. Gosh, has it been a month already? I think it has been.
Yeah, we've been back a little over a month, actually.
Wow.
And I had just been coming off of high fevers, and I was not feeling that great.
I know.
And I owe you a drink at a bar. We were going to go out and have a drink after dinner, and I just wasn't feeling it, and so we went back, and I owe you the drink. I'm going to come down and take you to that. So
absolutely.
Heck yeah. Whenever y'all are ready.
All right.
Perfect.
Yeah, we definitely need a beach vacation. We
so do.
Felt like Florida kind of gypped us out this year. We were down in Florida for 2 months. It was cold. We didn't make it down to our Key West, which is our normal spot, but Tampa area didn't really perform real well this winter time. It was pretty cold and windy.
Yeah, and then when we were down there in the Gulf Shores and Orange Beach area, the weather was kind of wishy-washy some days, and we were
raining.
we were on a whirlwind tour of we had a very limited time that we could be there. So
but that's spring everywhere, I think.
Yeah. So we need to sit on those gorgeous white sand beaches that you guys have there and for like a week and do nothing but just relax.
That's what you're known for there, right?
Yeah, it's super easy to kick back and relax down here. That 32 miles of beach between the two towns, we've only got 25,000 full-time residents. So you're still living that small town vibe and getting all the southern hospitality. So, we like to say a friend is just somebody you haven't shared an oyster with yet. So
yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Ready for everybody to get down here and make some new connections and just hang out and take it at your own speed.
You described that the best. That was the best way I've ever heard the whole area described because it is a bigger town, not a big town, but it feels very, very small.
Like a fun, smaller beachside town, but with all of the amenities and everything that you could ever want or need to have an amazing vacation and an amazing trip.
Right. A lot of people from the Midwest, at least a lot of our friends go down there. I assume it draws a lot of people from the Midwest down there to the Gulf Shores and the Alabama beaches area.
Yeah, we're a super easy drive market straight down I-65 that goes straight up into the Midwest. So right into that area, super easy drive to get down here. You just take 65, get on 59, and when it ends, you're at the beach. So it's a really easy trip to make right there. And, we see a lot of our visitors coming from that area, a lot from just around the South in general, because we do have that sugar white sand that a lot of people can't get their hands on and get their toes in. And so, and it's one of those destinations that you don't have to plan 6-8 months in advance. We'd love if you do so that you can get really excited for it and have all your ideas ready. But it's easy to make a short little getaway. This summer, if you're thinking about it and you feel like getting away for a weekend, jump on gulfshores.com or alabamabeaches.com and you can see what all's available and just jump down for the weekend. It's that low stress environment is super easy to get into.
Yep, no, for sure. Why don't you, before we get started and into the meat of the show, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself and kind of your role there in Alabama Beaches and maybe a little bit about the rebranding. I guess you heard some of the beginning there. You know, I everybody knows or have known the area as Gulf Shores. Now there's a little rebranding going on to tell, hey, there's more than Gulf Shores here. There's Orange Beach. There's some other places where we're now Alabama Beaches. Maybe talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I'm Easton Colvin. I've been here for about 4 years, public relations manager. And so I'm in charge of our publicity and public relations with media relations in fishing, outdoors, golf, and then general leisure. So we kind of, just cover a little bit of everything down here with all that we have to offer. And a couple of years ago, we started in and we were thinking, we were known as Gulf Shores and Orange Beach tourism. But a lot of people will come down here and say that they're going to Gulf Shores, but they're staying in Orange Beach and vice versa. And then there's the unincorporated area of Fort Morgan that's just absolutely great and beautiful that we represent as well. So we were looking for something new to kind of rebrand and revamp ourselves, but also be more inclusive to our whole area because it is a 32-mile area and one entity doesn't have all of it right there. So we decided to go with Alabama's beaches because it's just something that, it's a educational purpose because a lot of people don't know that Alabama has beaches unless you've been down here. And so, because like Caly said, it's a tiny little chunk on the map right there, just at the bottom. And so a lot of people don't know that Alabama has beaches and they're some of the best in the world. And so rebrand and put that name right in front of it right there and really just incorporate the fact that we're just one destination. We're not one town and another town and another area, just one complete destination because it's super easy to go all the way through and, stop for dinner in Gulf Shores, grab drinks in Orange Beach, sit on the beach out at Fort Morgan, and then you go fishing and there's all different areas back in here. And so, it was just something to really be inclusive of everything that we have to offer.
And you hit the nail on the head as I know you guys thought all this through because we stayed in Orange Beach, but we were in Orange Beach some of the time. We'd cross over to Gulf Shores, and we didn't even know we were in the. It seems like one whole area, and so I certainly think that's a very smart thing to do from a branding standpoint because you're right. You're just kind of crisscrossing. We went all the way out to Fort Morgan when we were there at your suggestion. I actually had been out there heading toward the fort, but had rode a moped all the way out there and a little scooter. I'm sorry, a little 50cc scooter, wasn't a moped, but so we got to enjoy that. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. But so the way we usually start out the show is we start out talking about some fun facts to the area. And today I've got some fun facts about the whole Alabama beaches area. And so if you have any comments or thoughts, or if you think it's wrong, just speak up and let us know. So, but the first thing is number one is white sand beaches are made from Appalachian quartz. The brilliant white sands on Gulf Shores and actually all the Alabama beaches isn't just pretty. It's made from powdered quartz washed down from the Appalachian Mountains over thousands of years.
Really?
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, I didn't know that till moments ago.
That's what gives it that little squeak when you're walking down the beach because it's all that quartz rubbing together. So that's why, you're walking around and you're like, what's that noise? Is there a bird following me or something? No, it's just that sugar white sand right under your feet.
Oh my gosh, that's
fantastic.
That's
great.
Because it does. It feels slightly different when you walk on it.
Yeah,
but
that
is fascinating.
Very beautiful beaches, I might add, too. So it's home to the largest artificial reef program in the U.S. Gulf Shores and nearby Orange Beach have deployed thousands of reef structures, creating one of the largest artificial reef systems in the country, perfect for snorkeling, diving, and fishing. Now, we didn't get to do that. Have you been out there? Have you done any diving or snorkeling out there?
Yeah, so Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources is really big on, our saltwater fishery and our saltwater habitat. And so, with those thousands of reefs out there, they give you the opportunity to do that diving and snorkeling and that fishing. And there's actually quite a few. If you're walking down the beach and you see big yellow posts with a few red markers on them, a few red stripes on them, that tells you when there's a near shore reef. And so with those artificial reefs, those near shore ones, yeah, you can jump on a paddleboard and get a snorkel set on and head right out there with a buddy. Always do it safe. Always do it with somebody watching your back. But yeah, you can get down there, and when that water is crystal clear during the summer and starting to warm up like it is right now, you can see everything down there. And there's even a few sunken ships out there and everything. So it's really cool and an awesome experience to see what all's under the water right there at your fingertips.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to make a trip back. When we were there, we had a very short window. As Caly said, we only had a 3-day window, I think, or maybe 4 days, something like that. But the water was also cold.
Yeah.
You didn't want to get into it snorkeling.
It was April. It was still chilly.
Yep.
Or actually late March. Yeah.
We got to wait till August to do that one. But anyway, so Fort Morgan, I don't want to give this away because I know this is in the top 10, but Fort Morgan Civil War history, just west of Gulf Shores is Fort Morgan, a historic fort that played a major role in the Battle of Mobile Bay during the Civil War. I assume that's Mobile Bay. It looks like it reads Mobile Bay, but it's Mobile because it's Mobile, Alabama, assuming, right?
Yes, sir. Mobile Bay right there. That's where the famous quote, "Damn the torpedoes," came from.
Yep, full speed ahead. That's right. Yes, that's right there, and you can tour that. We'll talk more about that, like I said, a little bit later. Between May and October, Gulf Shores becomes a nesting ground for loggerhead sea turtles, with conservation volunteers working nightly to protect the nests.
I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Yep, we actually got our first sea turtle nest yesterday. So it was, or not yesterday, the day before. So that turtle showed up one day early, and it was a little Kemp's Ridley. So it nested during the day. Some people got to see it and called it into our turtle hotline. And so the team got out there and roped it off, made sure that nest is going to be protected through its incubation period. But yeah, loggerheads, Kemp's Ridley, and green sea turtles all come right up here to make babies.
That is awesome.
I just can't get over the turtle hotline.
I know. Yeah, but it makes sense because, especially as you're getting into this time of year and the beaches are getting busier, if the nests aren't marked, you could have a kid out there digging for a sandcastle and all of a sudden upending a nest. So it makes sense.
Am I not turtley enough for the Turtle Club? Am I not
turtley enough for the Turtle Club?
Easton might be too young to remember that show. That movie.
Oh, it's still running around. We love that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so it hosts. So the area Alabama Beaches hosts the famous Hangout Music Festival every May. Gulf Shore hosts the Hangout Music Festival, a major beachside music event attracting thousands of fans and big name artists from around the world.
We're going to talk about a little bit about that.
Coming up here in just a couple weeks, and this year it's Sand in My Boots, Morgan Wallen's first festival. So here in just a couple weeks, they'll kick that one off, and hopefully we'll have, it's a bit of a different change with a lot more country thrown into it. So, fits our area a lot better. And so we'll see how that one goes, but everybody's excited. It sold out in minutes. So everybody was psyched for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so my printer kind of interrupted the printing here, but I believe this says Bon Scour National Wildlife Refuge. Is it hidden gem?
Bon
Secours. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's it didn't print like part of it, and so I'm only reading the top and bottom half of it. And the middle's missing. Just minutes from the beach is the refuge. Spans 7,000 acres of coastal dunes, wetlands, and forests. A haven for hikers, bird watching, and spotting endangered wildlife.
Oh yeah, they have tons of birds down there. We're actually on a migration flyway as well, so spring and fall we get a whole bunch of different birds that come through here. We do some really cool bird banding events, and my personal favorite beach is out at Bon Secours at the refuge because it actually goes all the way to the Gulf and stretches all the way back to Mobile Bay. So it's all over in a huge place, and just the wildlife that's out there is absolutely insane. They have miles.
We didn't make it out there.
Yeah, we drove by it on the way out to Fort Morgan, but
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that. Okay. So it's, the area is also home to legendary Florabama, located right on the Alabama-Florida line. The Florabama Lounge and Oyster Bar is one of the most iconic beach bars in the U.S., known for its live music, bushwhackers, which I hope we talk about later. Yes, we're going to talk
about bushwhackers.
And epic parties. So you got to stop by the Florabama when you're down there, and I'm sure that's probably on the top 10, is it?
No, it's not. I didn't really mention that. But
shoot.
We'll
add it.
We'll add it. We'll add the Florabama.
Throw that in there.
Yeah, exactly. Number 8, Gulf State Park has 28 miles of trails. Gulf State Park isn't just about camping. It's a network of biking, walking trails, boardwalks, nature centers, and even a lake for kayaking and fishing. Couple more here. The Gulf Shore Zoo was featured on TV. The Alabama Gulf Coast Zoo was once featured in the Animal Planet series, The Little Zoo That Could, and has since moved to a beautiful new facility just a few miles inland. And then the last thing, number 10, it's a seafood lover's paradise. Gulf Shores is home to the annual National Shrimp Festival, attracting over 250,000 people each year with live music, local artists, and of course, tons and tons of fresh Gulf shrimp.
Oh, yes.
All right, so that's all the fun facts. Now we're going to dive into some of the cool things to do when you're taking your trip down to Alabama beaches. You want to start taking it from here?
Yeah. So number 10, we're going to start at the Alabama Point, and this is a great place to go to catch the sunset. And that's just, people are like, how can you catch the sunset down there? Well, it's just kind of the way that Alabama Point is angled that you can catch the sunset. But it's also a great place for fishing. They have a beautiful boardwalk. There's beach there. And this is also, Easton, isn't this the area where if folks want to charter a boat for fishing, that because Gulf Shores offers one of the largest charter fleets on the Gulf, this is kind of the area for them to go. Is that right?
Oh yeah, there's 3 or 4 marinas right in the neighborhood of Alabama Point right there. You've got Zeke's, you've got Sandrock Cay, you've got Carib, all right in there, and there's a couple boat launches as well. So if you're looking to get out on the water, Alabama Point is situated just on the west or on the east side of Perdido Pass. So basically anybody that's heading in and out to go get to deep water is driving right through that pass on the way out. So definitely a great place. And as you said, Caly, that it's just angled just right. It sits a little bit farther south right there on the water. And so you can shoot across your eyesight to the west there and get that beautiful sunset. And it's fun. Different times of year, they're different colors and everything. In the summer, we're getting these bright oranges down here. And so it's just absolutely gorgeous. And that beach is one of my favorite to hang out on. It's just real relaxed, kicked back. There's plenty of parking down there as well. Mm-hmm. And so, with those boardwalks, it's super easy to get down there, grab a cooler, grab some chairs, and just hang out for the day.
Yeah, it was super enjoyable. We went out there to catch the sunset, which was beautiful. I love the boardwalk because I was able to, take my shoes off and just walk barefoot, and it was very comfortable. And then I also noticed there was like a food truck or maybe ice cream truck that was there in the parking lot. Is that there all year round?
Yeah, it's there most of the year. There'll be a few times, during the real winter, which, for us lasted about 3 weeks really. Yeah. But during the real winter, they may shut it down. But most of the time it's hanging out there, grab you some snacks and all that good stuff while you're down there.
Yeah, that was a great place. We really enjoyed that. And number 9 is a great location that we visited on a rainy day. And I would recommend visiting it anytime, but it's a good rainy day location, which was one of your suggestions. And that's the Wharf, because there is literally a little bit of everything to do inside and outside there. They have shopping, restaurants, a movie theater. They do like light shows at night. I understand they have an arcade, an escape room. There's nightlife there. But then tell us a little bit also, there's an amphitheater there on site, isn't there, that they do some music venues?
Yeah, there is. So they've got a, pretty good size amphitheater down there. We host a lot of top names. Last year we were looking at Post Malone, Kenny Chesney, Jimmy Buffett used to do a couple stops here every year. This year we're looking at the Red Clay Strays. I know Dwight Yoakam is, I think, coming in this weekend, bringing the Mavericks with him. So that's one that I'm personally excited for. But, a lot of top names come in there and they put on just a great concert. And the one thing that I love about that place, with it being an outdoor amphitheater, there's not a single bad seat in the house. You can be up in the 300 section and you're still able to see and hear everything just perfectly. And it's an easy walk in, walk out. And when you go out or come in, there's the Wharf right there. So you can grab some dinner on your way in or on the way out, grab a drink, grab a bushwhacker for the 50th anniversary. And since y'all have been here, we actually just got them uploaded and working in Port Side on Main. So there's a whole new section up there that's got a nice little grass area out front that people can hang out, play some cornhole, stuff like that. There's a couple more bars that they added in there and some more shopping. So, just really, really kind of fully encompassing right there with everything you said, and a new section just out there on the front side.
So that was the second or third time we've brought up bushwhackers. So,
yes.
Easton, do you mind telling everybody, our audience, what's a bushwhacker? Let's talk about those.
Yeah, so this year is actually the 50th anniversary of the bushwhacker being brought to the United States. So the bushwhacker is, my best rendition of it is, think of a Frosty from Wendy's and throw about 7 different kinds of rum in it. and just go to
Yes.
town. I recommend just two, get you through the day, but some people like to go for more. But it started down in the U.S. Virgin Islands at a little beachside bar down there. Some people from this area went down there and really liked it, so they brought it home with them. It's been in a few restaurants down here all the way back to 1975, and so it's always a debate on who brought it back, who did it first,
Yeah.
and now the debate is who does it best. And so we've got the 12 months of Bushwhacker running this year. So every month there's a different theme. April was Easter themed, so people were throwing peeps in them. They were making them different colors, all kinds of stuff. So this year's a fun year for the Bushwhacker. The Floribama has a big event coming up on May 31st. They're actually giving away a trip to the Virgin Islands at this event. But huge event that they're going to have, bushwhackers, contests, music, everything going on. And so it's a big celebration, but it's not just this year. You can get your hands on a bushwhacker 365 days a year down here. And there's so many restaurants that offer them. There's even different tours that you can take. So some of our local business people have started bushwhacker tours. So you can rent a bus and load all your friends on it and just go make stops all around the island, sampling the bushwhackers. You can even do it by water. People are doing it on boats. And, that way you have a DD for the day. And
Yes.
so, you can just really dive in. But it's a great drink. And, for me, I like them during the summer. I'll order one, let it sit for a
Mhm.
little while, kind of melt a little bit to where it's still really cold, but not brain freeze cold. And then you
Right.
can just absolutely take them down.
Yeah, he's describing this very extremely well.
Yes,
Now, my
it's
first
perfect.
experience with the bushwhacker, which is very ironic that you say that, was in St. Thomas. That's the first time I ever had one in the Navy, probably back in 1988 or 89. I can't remember which year. It was one of those two. And they would always put a topper on it. If you know what a topper is, they'll throw a little extra rum
Yep.
on the top there. And I sat by the pool one time. Now, mind you, I was 20-something years old, and I just got like 3 sheets to the wind drinking these bushwhackers. I'm like, that's never heard of them ever again until I got down to Alabama shores.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, why are they here too? This is strange. Nobody else knows what they are, but Alabama shores and down there in the Virgin Islands. So that's interesting that you said that because that makes a lot of sense to me. But they're delicious. They really are.
Oh, they are. They are delicious, and we'll talk a little bit later about where some of the best places are for a good bushwhacker. Of course, everywhere on the island, but I'm sure there's always some favorites. So number 8 is a really, really fun place that Randy and I actually went to a couple of times, and that's the Hangout. And this place is really a local staple. What started originally as a small local hangout, has turned into, I understand the original building got destroyed in one of the hurricanes. They rebuilt and opened it what it is today. And it's almost like a kind of like a small complex, but you've got food, they have live music, they have games, beach access. It's super family friendly. They have drinks, foam parties, a wish wall, which I thought was so cool, ice cream, bungee jumping, gift shop. I mean, it's literally a little bit of everything. So tell us some about like the history of the Hangout and what folks can expect to see there.
Yeah, so the Hangout has got a prime location. I talked about you just jumping off of 65 on Highway 59, and when it stops, you're at the beach. And
Mhm.
Hangout is right there at the T in Gulf Shores. So as soon as Highway 59 ends, if you go straight onto the beach, you're at the Hangout right there. And like you said, Caly, live music, great food, and you really hit the nail on the head with the family friendly part. They'll stay open late, but it's a place that the kids can hang out all night long and have a great time with that music, with the foam parties that they do outside, and the, little bungee jumping activities. And, you haven't really lived until you've got a group at the Hangout and they call out a birthday and somebody has to get on the table and dance, and they're throwing napkins up everywhere. They've got a DJ inside the house and a house entertainer. And so, it's a whole different vibe, and, they like to live it up down there. And so if you want to have a good time, definitely hit the Hangout with the family down there. The kids will remember it forever. The adults will have a good time. Everything in between from 1 to 99 can get in it at the Hangout.
Yeah, and it was so fun because when we went, it was right around spring break. And when we walked into the Hangout, I looked at Randy and I was like, I can see why parents would love to bring their kids and teenagers there, because it's kind of like all encompassed into one area. that's kind of, I don't want to say walled off, but it is, kind of walled off so that, parents could be inside with their teens outside experiencing the foam party and the teens feeling like they're experiencing their own kind of by themselves fun, but the parents are still there nearby experiencing their fun. So it was just a really cool, fun vibe. And for those wing lovers like me, their wings were amazing. They were to die for. They were so good.
They actually had bushwhackers. Didn't we try a bushwhacker there?
No, we didn't. We did it next door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting confused.
Yep.
We had so many bushwhackers, I get confused where they were.
Right. They were delicious. Yeah. So number 7, we're going to hop over to the Coastal Arts Center. And this place was really, really fun. And it's a different vibe in that, when you think of spring break and beaches and, on the water and these great bars and restaurants, the Coastal Arts Center really gives families and other individuals an opportunity to experience art in a different way, in that they have glass blowing there, and they do not only demonstrations, but you can actually sign up for a class. They also have pottery throwing, so you can sign up for a pottery throwing class, or they do, just grab a piece of pottery and paint it, and different demonstrations. And then they also have a gallery with beautiful, beautiful art for sale. So this was just a really unique place. And then tell us some too. I understand they do an art festival, and then they also got a very special ranking by USA Today, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. So, Coastal Arts Center, you mentioned one of the 2 public glass blowing shops in the state of Alabama. The hot shop is down there, so you can take classes. You've got the pottery making classes as well. But the Coastal Arts Festival happens every spring down here on Alabama's beaches. It's an absolutely great festival for those arts lovers because it's full of local vendors that are just making their wares and just pushing them out there. So you can get all kinds of really cool stuff, from oyster decoupage to, stuff made out of driftwood that's found here on our beaches, stuff incorporating our shells. And people will even blow glass out of our sand, and it gives it that kind of iridescent rainbow color as well. So there's so much great stuff down there from our local artists. We've got a great art community here, but the Coastal Arts Festival is where they all really get together and have their one big kickoff. And that festival was ranked number 1 by USA Today's Reader's Choice Awards this year. So we're really happy for them to be able to, have that ranking and stick their chest out, because we've always thought that they were number 1, but now everybody's starting to recognize it. And so you can check out that on USA Today's website and everything. But, it's a great opportunity to come down here and, like you said, Caly, get away from that, that spring break on the beach, all of that stuff, and get into this art scene down here, because we have some of the best artists that I've seen all over the country and all over the world that live right here, from writers to potters, glass blowers, painters, everything you can think of. They're right here. And, the incorporating our kind of local flavor into the art, if you will, just makes it absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and it was really neat. I loved, that it is a gallery, so, everything's for sale, but also had a gift shop as well. So, if your budget doesn't warrant a larger, more expensive piece, you can still walk away with something that's very budget friendly and still be able to support a local artist and their love of the art by purchasing something a little bit smaller out of the gift store, which I thought was really sweet and special also.
And it will hang in your RV just fine.
Yes, it will. Just use some of that heavy duty double-sided tape and it'll stick.
Man strips for everything, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, number 6, we're going to talk about some of these festivals. So you mentioned the Coastal Arts Festival, but what are some of the other festivals that folks can attend throughout the year there on Alabama beaches?
Yeah, so we've got tons of festivals and events for people to come check out. Right now, down at the beach, we're actually getting ready. The bracket just got set, getting ready to kick off the NCAA Beach Volleyball National Championship. That's here through 2031. And then a couple weeks after that, you've got Hangout Music Festival, Sand in My Boots Festival. That's happening right after that. In the fall, you've got the Experience the Oyster right there at the Hangout. Murder Point Oysters has put this event on for a few years now. And so Experience the Oysters, where they bring in a bunch of oyster farmers from all over the country and a bunch of chefs from all over the country. And some of those people that, you'd think about at Food and Wine or Oyster South and stuff like that, they come right here to hang out with us and just let us sample all of those oysters and all the different takes everybody's had on it. I think last year I had a pine nut encrusted oyster on a lavender flavored cracker. And it was kind of broiled in there for a minute. And so, so many different things that they come up with in their brains that is just absolutely amazing. So that's a great one. And then, you've got the National Shrimp Festival that happens every year. I think the 50th annual was last year. And so, they've been blowing and going forever. A big, big vibe with that. And then down at the Floribama, they've got events all year long. We just got off a mullet toss, which is a huge thing. And, you got to fling that fish as far as you can, fling it like you don't want to see it ever again. And so they do big events all year. Memorial Day, 4th of July, big events everywhere. We've got a couple of car shows that happen down at the Wharf. And my favorite part is right now we're getting into our tournament fishing season. And so we've got a few fishing rodeos that everybody can enter. But for some of those big boats, it's really fun to watch the Grand Marlin Championship, the Orange Beach Billfish Classic that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. See some of those big dogs come in and what they have hooked into. And, everybody's just having a good time during the weigh-ins. And, you get to see some stuff. We've set state records the last few years from blue marlin that are caught and brought in from these tournaments. They get on some big tuna, some wahoo and stuff like that. So, we've got a little bit of everything down here, and there's events for everybody to take in.
That is awesome. I love that because I think people forget when you go to an incredible beach destination like Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, that there's more there than just the beach. That you can come different times throughout the year and experience these different festivals and really get to know the community better and support the community as well. And I think that's so fun. I think that's fabulous. So number 5 takes us over to take a tour, and you can, obviously you're on the beach, so there's lots of tours on the water that you can do, like sunsets and dolphin and fishing and snorkeling. What are some of the other tours that are available there?
Yeah, as you said, dolphin tours are huge. Taking the sunset sails, those are great. One of my favorite is going out to Fort Morgan and getting a tour out there. It's Fort Morgan is super cool. It's been around since it started during the War of 1812 as Fort Boyer. Andrew Jackson was stationed out there, and so it's got all kinds of history. It was in operation all the way through World War II, and so you've got 150 years right there of just pivotal key U.S. history that's super cool to dive into. The bushwhacker tour is great. Get out with your friends, have some drinks, go kind of see all of the island and everything like that. We've got a couple of really cool museums, but also, there's some other on the water tours that you wouldn't think of, like some of our Delta safaris and stuff like that. With Mobile Bay, we're right around Mobile Delta as well. And so it's super cool to get out there and kind of see everything and all the ecology. Get out on a kayak. That's one of my favorite things to do. Kayak around, because that's when the dolphins will come up real close. During the spring and the fall, we'll have manatees that move through and everything. And so, getting out on the water and maybe not on one of the dolphin boats, just kind of take it at your own pace and give yourself a tour. We've got a great kayak trail with the Backwater Blueway Trail. And so all kinds of trails to come check out through here, from our coastal birds to our scenic trail, scenic byway and everything. So all kinds of stuff that you can sink your teeth into if you get tired of just sitting out at the beach. I like to call it, Caly, you said there's just so much more. I like to call it Alabama Beaches Plus, because there's just so much that you can get into.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yes. And that leads perfectly into number 4. We've talked about 32 miles of Alabama beaches. And you told us when we were there are over 200 restaurants across those 32 miles. So, number 4 is all about eating local. And we enjoyed a couple of places. So we did Zeke's, which was amazing. And then we found Dell's ice cream, and it has forever ruined me for other ice cream now, because that was the most amazing, best ice cream I've ever had in my life.
And that was
at
just strip
Dell's.
plaza ice cream. It
Yeah.
was just in the middle of a strip plaza. We didn't think anything. It was the closest one to where we were. Just went in and it was amazing.
It was incredible. So talk about some of the restaurants there and maybe some of the restaurants like the local places too, like Papa Rocco's. And then what are some of your favorite places for the Bushwhacker also?
Oh yeah, we've got tons of great local food. And on top of being local, a lot of our seafood that we were talking about earlier is going to be locally sourced as well. We've got a solid commercial fishing fleet out here. So that red snapper, that grouper, those shrimp, those crab claws that you're just munching on and having a great time probably came within 15 miles of where you're from. Or where you're eating right now. And so all of that local food coming in, and all of these chefs and all of these restaurants have their own take on them. There's 100 places that you can get fried shrimp, but they're all going to be different. Yeah. And so it's just so cool to be able to do that. You talked about Papa Rocco's. That place it just holds a special place in my heart. It's the home of warm beer and lousy pizza. They're open till midnight, and that's what they say, but it's just so good. You can get that Italian food in there. They also have some of the best charbroiled oysters that you can get your hands on. Their wings are great. Right next to there, you've got DeSoto Seafood Kitchen. That's my favorite place for a nice little lunch. They have a great lunch special, a real down south kind of meat and 2, meat and 3 option. And then you go over to Orange Beach. You've got some great options there that are right there on the water, on the intercoastal waterway with Luna's, GT's on the bay. You know, if you're feeling a little lighter, everybody down here that's a local rants and raves about GT's salad bar. And so if you're feeling a little lighter for the day, GT's is great. But I mean, there's just so many local options down here, and those bushwhackers, they go on for days. I don't think we've even ever counted how many places down here serve a bushwhacker. It's a ton, and everybody has their own favorites. Some people love the Floribama. Some people love the Hangout. Some people love Lulu's, stuff like that. One of my personal favorites is at a little place out on West Beach in Gulf Shores called Beach House Kitchen and Cocktails. That's my favorite bushwhacker. For me, it's a little lighter and a little thinner, and they go a little heavier on a Kahlua. So it's got a little bit more of a coffee taste to it. And so, it's just an absolute game changer out there. But there's food up and down this island. If you could think of wanting to eat it, we've got it. And 99% of it is going to be locally owned. You can run into so many of these restaurants and see the owners are right there working with their staff just to ensure that you have a great experience.
Yeah, well, you've made me super hungry. And I'm missing that food that we had down there for sure. And oysters are a big thing there as well, right? So there was a couple oyster farms that I thought we passed. So a lot of the oysters are coming in local.
Yes, yeah. Our oysters, a lot of them are locally sourced. We've got 2 oyster farms here on our island with Navy Cove and Admiral Shellfish Company. And then there's a couple up Mobile Bay, and then Dauphin Island, the island across Mobile Bay from us. They have a bunch of oyster farms out there. And so, a lot of our oysters are now coming locally sourced, and, that's just great for our economy. And it also gives them, that local flavor. It's funny because Navy Cove and Admiral are just a couple of miles from each other, but you put those oysters next to each other and you know what you're looking for. You can point out the differences between those 2 oysters because they're so dependent on just the water that they're in, the tides, everything makes a difference. It's kind of like grapes and wine, and everything makes a difference into an oyster. And so it's really cool to be able to have those 2 great partners here in our area.
Oh, that's fabulous. Totally fabulous. I love it. Well, number 3 takes us out to Fort Morgan, which you touched on, and we really, really enjoyed it when we were out there. We walked the grounds, so it's a former fort, as you were saying, Easton, that's been had operated about 150 years, all the way through World War II, and it was it's beautifully preserved. It's a very large site. We walked on top. We walked through it. There's a museum there as well that covers like the history of the fort and the wars with some artifacts, and just really, really enjoyed it. So tell us some more about the fort there and its significance.
Yeah, so Fort Morgan was started during the 1830s is when they started building it, and it was designed by the same designer that designed Napoleon's forts. So it's
Mm.
built in a star formation. So it's a pentagon, but it's built with a little outcropping to make it into a star. And they designed that so if anybody was attacking the fort directly, that they would have crossfire from all those corners right in the line of fire there. But they made some really cool technological advances while Fort Morgan was occupied there. It was played a big role in the Civil War, and there was Fort Morgan on one side of the bay, Fort Gaines on the other side of the bay. So those two forts could contain the whole entry into Mobile Bay. So it was really able to hold out for a while there. Admiral Farragut was famous for saying, "Damn the torpedoes, we're going in, trying to get into Mobile Bay and make a quicker end into that situation." And then after that, it was turned into, of course, Union occupied, and then turned into a civil or a Army Air Corps training center for
Mm.
World War II. And so you can look as you're driving up, if you know where to look just right, there's a big old long flat strip that goes right through where the trees are all cut down and everything. And you can see where that airstrip was. So they trained Navy and Army Air Corps pilots all the way through World War II. And that's when they went ahead and shut it down. The state of Alabama took over and has preserved it, as you said, just immaculately. There's some
Yes.
legends out there of there's a couple of guys that were de-arming ordnance one day, and a couple of those things went off and had a couple of people die in there. But there's some legends that they're still hanging out in there. Some people like to get a little spooky time while they're out there. There's been some
Ooh.
photos circulating of a couple of paranormal things. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there. What I love about the place is that the design of the gun points. And so the way they were designed is they would have a giant swivel under them. And so they'd swivel them up. It took a bunch of guys to pull these guns, swivel up to the top position to fire, and then they'd let it swivel back down, and they could reload without having to worry about getting hurt because it was down below the walls of the forts for these big coastal guns to reload. And once they
Wow.
were reload, they would pull them back up, shoot them, and drop them back down. So, some of the technological advances that were applied and made in that fort were just absolutely crazy for the time that they were going on in.
Oh, that's incredible. And
Yeah, it was really neat. We
yeah.
really enjoyed going out there and touring the fort and reading a bunch of the little placards. So very, very neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, next stop was, I think, probably one of my favorite things, other than the obvious, which is the number one. But number two was Gulf State Park. That this park is amazing. It just I'm like almost speechless. So we have e-bikes, and Gulf State Park boasts 28 miles of paved bike paths, which were incredible. It has an on-site restaurant. It offers a bike share program. So if you didn't happen to bring a bike, hey, guess what? No worries. There's a bike share program there in the park. We saw a couple alligators while we were out there. There's 3 freshwater lakes. They have an incredible on-site lodge. And I'm saying lodge very loosely. I should say it's not. It's like an upscale, beautiful hotel.
It's an eco hotel, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So tell us about all the highlights of Gulf State Park, because there's just so much to talk about.
Yeah, Gulf State Park is one of those, state parks that I think should be a national park at this point.
Yes.
Over 6,150 acres encompass the state park, and it's really cool because the state park is kind of the divider between Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. It kind of sits between them. And so that state park, as you said, has over 28 miles of trails in there for walking, hiking, biking, taking the pooch out there and having the dog walk. And so those trail systems is called the Hugh S. Branyan Backcountry Trail. And we're proud to announce that for the 3rd year in a row, that trail system has won the #1 outdoor recreational trail by USA Today's top 10. And so a lot of people are starting to recognize that as well. But that trail system is just absolutely beautiful. You can get to the highest point on the island on that trail system. The highest natural point on the island is on that trail system. You can cruise around the lakes. There's 9 different ecosystems that are made up in the state park right there. So super cool. As you said, 3 freshwater lakes, and this thing stretches all the way down to the beach. So there's actually a couple miles of beachfront as well that, they have the beach pavilion with the restrooms and everything that you can hang out in. You can do some events there. They have plenty of parking out there as well. And then we got to talk about the lodge. It was built
Yes.
with funds from the Deepwater Horizon BP oil spill. The original lodge was taken out in 2004 by Hurricane Ivan. About 10 years later, the oil spill happens. And then after that, they got some money from the BP oil spill and just did this thing up right. They've got plenty of hotel rooms in there. It's actually a Hilton hotel. So, Randy, you nailed it on the head. Lodge is used loosely. So it's a Hilton hotel, and it's so eco-friendly. Some of my favorite things about it, of course, all of the things were sourced within a certain radius of the hotel itself, not only to be in the hotel, but to build it itself. Everything was sourced within a certain radius. So there wasn't a bunch of imports coming in. There wasn't a bunch of transportation costs and everything like that. And so, just the things that went into it, and even the things that they do now, the way that it's situated on the ground to make sure that it doesn't have, all the super hard direct sunlight to keep heating and cooling costs low, the bird screens that are on the outside to make sure that migrating birds don't just slam into the windows or anything like that. You open your balcony door, the air conditioner will shut off because, like your mama said when you were growing up, we ain't paying to air condition the outside.
Right.
That's right.
And then even cool little things like all of the condensation from the air conditioning system is used to refill the pool there at the hotel. And so
wow.
Super eco-friendly. It's a fortified structure as well. It went through Hurricane Sally and had no qualms about it. I think they may have lost a couple of gutters. And so super eco-friendly, super fortified. It's got a bunch of LEED certifications as well that, we don't just say it's eco-friendly. The people that talk about this and do this every day have gone in and inspected, went through the building plans, made sure. So it's LEED certified as well. And, it's just a great location to not only hang out and stay, but they've got a couple of restaurants in there that are super good as well, right there at the beach, along with Woodside back in the state park. So, it's a game changer, and it's one of my favorite things about our destination.
Yeah, one of the cool things about where we stayed and in the Gulf State Park, we stayed at, and we got to thank Sun Outdoors Orange Beach for hosting us. And I know, Easton, you were part of making that happen, so we appreciate that. But one cool thing is we could leave our RV, and within probably a tenth of a mile, there was a path right from our RV. We could take that and literally go all the way out to the beach. So we could put our backpack chairs on and beach bag and ride our electric bikes all the way on boardwalks, all the way out over the sky. I don't know if it's called a sky bridge or what it's called,
it a sky bridge.
Up over the road and right there to the beach.
Yeah,
and so,
all through that state park, through that 28 miles of trail. So it was so nice. It was so enjoyable. There were so many people out enjoying the bike paths, families and adults of all ages and groups of all sizes, and it was really, really cool to experience.
Yep. Very, very cool. Very nicely done. So,
yeah. So we are down to number 1.
250 strands of light. Drum roll, please.
And the number one thing to do in Gulf Shores, Alabama shores, Alabama beaches, I'll get it right in a minute, sorry, is of course
the beach.
Enjoy the beach.
Go to the beach. Go to the beach. Go to the beach. Like, these are... And I think for me personally, over at the state park, at the big pier and pavilion there, that I felt like that sand is that powder, sugar white, just exquisite sand. It was incredible. All of Alabama shores are like that. All of the beaches are these beautiful, beautiful white sand beaches. And there's sections that are even more powdery and more exquisite and more beautiful.
They're quartzy.
They're very quartzy. But what I want you to tell folks, Easton, is what you all guys do there every about 5 to 7 years to your beaches.
Yeah, so our beaches, we understand that they're a blessing from the good Lord above, and we understand that they're what keep us going down here. And so we try to take as best care of them as we can, and we try to encourage our visitors to do as well. So on top of every few years, we'll start with what we do every single day. And so we've got our Leave Only Footprints program that guarantees that our beaches don't look like a NASCAR infield every single night. And so,
Right.
that's what they looked like there for a while, is that, everybody would come down for the week, set up their tents, set up their chairs, and leave everything out there. And not only is that not really pretty to wake up to, but it's also tough on the beach and tough on the wildlife. We talked about those nesting sea turtles. They need open beach. They need, places that they can actually go without bumping into anything. And so we started the Leave Only Footprints program. And so at sundown every night, unless you're sitting on it or sitting under it, all of your beach equipment, all of your activity stuff has to be removed from the beach or it'll be picked up and taken. And so it makes sure that our beach is pristine and clean and clear every single night. And every morning you wake up to that just beautiful beach right there, right outside your window if you're staying on the beach. And so we do that every single night. And that's, just a great way to encourage people to, pick up stuff, get it out of the way, but it also helps people to pick up trash. We've got trash cans all up and down our beach, recycling bins as well, just encouraging people to keep it clean because we know that, we've got to take care of it or we may not have it one day. But then also every few years we come in and as a cooperative effort with FEMA, we do a beach restoration. So erosion, storms come in, everything, waves take sand off the beach every single minute of every day. And so those storm seasons come through, that happens some more and it's a little stronger. So every few years we come through and we're actually able to work with FEMA to pump all that sand that was pulled off of our beach and deposited out into the Gulf. We're able to pump all that up, put it on barges and shoot it back out onto our beaches to return the beach back to what it was. And so it's a super cool operation every few years. They do all of Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, and they do, a few hundred yards every single day. And for me, I nerd out because they've got the giant bulldozers and dump trucks and everything out there, moving it all around, making it flat, ensuring that it's back to what it was. And one of the coolest things about it is when they pump it up out of the Gulf, it's real wet. It's gotten a little dirty. And so when you're looking, as soon as they pumped it, you'll look at the section behind. It's a little brown and dirty. And you look at the section in front of it and it's that sugar white. A couple of days of sitting out in that sun and drying out, that sand goes right back to that sugar white and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And so we do that every few years in conjunction with FEMA and are able to keep our destination, what it is and what it's known for, and able to allow people to have, that opportunity to have the same amount of beach when they come back next year.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And I have to say, I was thoroughly impressed with how pristine the beaches are there. We were walking around and you don't see trash. You don't see straws. You don't see paper. You don't see pop cans or chip bags
cigarette
butts. I mean, it was pristine. And we've been to a lot of beaches all around the world. And, we've been to beaches where you're seeing remnants of a plastic fork and, and like Randy said, cigarette butts and, what's left over of a kid's plastic shovel. And your beaches are pristine. And as a community, you've done a fabulous job of helping outsiders who come in respect that and take care of it. And that's something beautiful.
Yeah, so you got a big initiative, don't you? There was a big billboard that said something, I don't remember, maybe you can help me with it, but it said something like keep our beaches clean or something like that, or...
It's the no footprint, right?
Yeah,
no footprint.
Leave only footprints and, help us keep our beaches clean because if we dirty them up, the person that comes after you isn't going to have the same experience to make the same memories that you were making. And so, it takes a little bit of self-guidance there to be able to do it. But we like to, step out and educate our people that, hey, we've got to keep this going so that you can come back and so that people can have the same memories that you did down here. And so it's really important that we not only leave only footprints, but also we keep it safe down here as well. So we've started our Beach Safe campaign a couple of years ago to educate our visitors because like we said, a lot of our visitors are from the Midwest. A lot of our visitors are from areas that aren't used to the Gulf and to salt water and to the tides and currents that run in salt water. And so we started our Beach Safe campaign to educate visitors on what our beach flag warning system is so that they're able to walk out on the beach and say, oh, it's a yellow flag. I still need to pay attention to what's going around me, or, oh, it's a double red flag. I can't get in the water today. It's too dangerous for me to be out there. And so, we've done a lot of education with that and really want people to still pay attention whenever they get out there. They can sign up for a text alert system that they can stop and opt out of any day. So they could sign up the day they come down here and opt out on their way out of town. You just text ALB Galt Beaches to 888-777 to get the daily beach conditions update. And so, along with keeping them clean, we want to keep people safe while they're out there. And so you probably saw a lot of good stuff about that as well.
Yeah, we did.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking at camping options. There's a ton of campgrounds in the area, and we do have to give a special plug out to Sun Outdoors Orange Beach. Now, complete transparency, they comped our stay from being there because we were there doing an editorial piece for the magazine, and so and again, Easton was instrumental in making that happen. But it was really a beautiful resort.
Very nice.
Two big pools, lots of kids having fun. But what?
They also had an adult section.
Yep.
They saw at the front of the RV park, they had an adults only pool, which was nice. So if you come with a family, they have a huge family friendly pool. But if you don't travel with young kids or just need a break from your kids, they have an adult only pool as well.
Yep. And it's a pretty big resort. There's like
huge.
3 sections, I think, maybe 4 different sections. Yeah, I guess it'd be 4 different sections.
They had everything. So they have on-site restaurants, they have on-site bike rentals, golf cart rentals. They have a dog wash. They had dog parks throughout the park. They had access to Gulf State Park through trail systems. Just beautiful paved flat sites, full hookups, beautifully maintained. I mean, it was a very, very, very nice park.
And then, like we said earlier, you can take your e-bike or your bike and bike straight to the beach if you wanted to. It was probably, what do you think, 15, 20-minute bike ride?
Probably, yeah.
Maybe a little less on the electric bike, But if you choose not to go to Sun Outdoors, there's a lot of other campgrounds. We got Gulf Shores RV Resort. I'm just pulling these right off of RV Life Campground Review. This is a free resource from RV Life, so be sure to get out there and check it out. But we got Gulf Shores RV Resort, which got 9.5 stars out of 10. Island Retreat RV Park got 9.0. Docks RV Park got 9.1. I mean, there's a lot of them here. Luxury RV Resort 9. I'm just kind of going through some of that.
And this is where Bay Breeze. So anybody that's been following us or listening to us for a while, one of our favorites that we've stayed at is Bay Breeze RV on the Bay.
This is a very small,
it's a very
family-owned,
small campground, but very secluded, very, very nice. And they just recently offered homes on site that can be rented as well. Right,
but this is out towards Fort Morgan, so you're a little bit away from the beaches. And then also, we found that the Gulf State Park campground was really nice.
Oh, it's huge.
And you could fit full size. I'm pretty sure they could fit 45
easily,
foot RVs in there.
It was massive. Do you know offhand, Easton, how many campsites were there at the Gulf State Park?
Yeah, so they're actually going through a little expansion. So in 2026, including primitive sites, which we don't have very many of those, we're going to have 496 sites.
I was going to say it was
Holy shnikes, Batman.
So yeah, and those ones, they'll fill up. They will fill up. So if you want to get in on those ones, start planning now, because that is one of the premier places to stay. It's right in the middle of everything, but you're away from everything at the same time. So they'll fill up if you want in those.
Right. And like every state park across the nation, they're usually the cheapest, but and the most bang for your buck. You get a nice campground. In most state parks, usually a lot of times you can't get bigger rigs into them. You're, the national parks, you're usually limited to 30 feet. So this one here, I saw several Class A, so I don't think there's any restrictions on this one. Another one down there, Sugar Sands RV Resort. I'm just reading. Of course, we said Sun Outdoors. They got 9.4.
Buena Vista Motor Coach Resort.
Yep, that was a real nice. That was the
super
nice one we looked at. So there's a ton of them. If and even some in some surrounding towns. I don't know how far Foley is. It looks like it might be about 5 miles away. 5 miles
away,
but they also have some pretty high-ranking campgrounds as well. So, but you want to get close to the beach. You want to stay there in Gulf Shores or Orange Beach, one or the other. So, covered a lot of ground. Is there anything we missed?
Oh man, I can't think of a single thing. I'm just ready to go take a little staycation myself. I'm ready for the weekend to get started and figure out what we're going to get into. I'm hoping that it stays sunny and we can get out there and, finish out this tan that we already got started here at the beginning of May.
I know. I'm a little jealous about that. We were talking off air about, your weather versus our weather. And I tell you, Alabama beaches is the place to be right now. Y'all listening and need a break, that's where you need to head.
Well, you go have a bushwhacker for Caly and I, because we would love to have one right now. But even though I did not drink at the Kentucky Derby, I feel like I drank all day I just feel beat up after like 14 hours of
I know.
Right.
watching horses and limo drives and friends, helping drunk friends out.
Right.
It was something else.
Hey,
but
sober friends help drunk friends.
Yeah.
That's just the rule.
exactly.
Teamwork makes the dream work, you know?
That's right. Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
and why don't you tell us, tell our listeners and viewers the website again to access any kind of information about the whole Alabama Beaches area?
Yeah, you can go to alabamabeaches.com. That's www.alabamabeaches.com. You can follow us on all forms of social media at Visit Alabama Beaches as well. Got a ton of great content, give you all the great ideas of what to do while you're down here. But alabamabeaches.com, we've got a whole section just for RVing on that website. So you can go on there, look at all the campgrounds, all the different opportunities right there on alabamabeaches.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you
Fabulous.
so much, Easton, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And to all those listeners out there and watchers, this is a great destination. If you have never been there, it's a nice beach. It's a nice different break from Florida. It's got a different feel. It's got a small town feel, but all the amenities you need to enjoy a nice beach vacation. But anyway, you want to take us out, babe?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again, Easton, for joining us today and sharing all the reasons why we want to head down south to the Alabama beaches. We really appreciate you and being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. It was great to be with y'all and can't wait to see everybody that comes down. Be sure to keep an eye out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we want to thank all of you out there for joining in today, whether on our audio podcast, wherever you're listening to your audio podcast, or don't forget, we're out on YouTube. So anytime you want to see our happy, shiny faces, you just tune in and you can see us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. Why do you always laugh at me when I say that?
You got to balance that statement with, if you don't want to see our faces, you go listen to the audio podcast.
Oh, there you go. Well, you have choices. You have options. If you want to see us, YouTube. If you just want to listen to us, a podcast. But make sure you always tune in because we've got a lot of great information for you guys. Be sure to get out to our website where we offer a ton of free FREE information for you. We're constantly updating. We're constantly adding new content out to our website. So check that out. And don't forget about the magazine. It's a beautiful, beautiful magazine. And for listening in, if you use the code podcast20, podcast20 at checkout, you're going to save 20% off of any of our subscriptions. So,
including the new special edition we just getting ready to release, getting ready to mail in a week.
Oh, yeah. That's super pretty and special. You guys definitely need to check that one out. It's all about road trips this year. So that'll be super nice. So, yeah. Thank you, everybody out there, for joining in today.
Be safe.
Safe travels, y'all.